Welcome to NFL Nexus, the place where we go way beyond the headlines to break down the real strategy of the league. If you love the behind-the-scenes moves, the X's and O's that truly build a winning team, then you're in the right place. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It really helps the channel grow. All right, let's get into it, because today we are unpacking what has to be the most interesting offseason story going on right now, the Minnesota Vikings' incredibly ambitious and very interconnected offseason plan. We're not just talking about one or two separate moves here. No, this is a complex web, a real chess match, where a potential trade on the defensive side of the ball is directly setting the table for a massive, game-changing move on offense. We're going to break down exactly how this high-stakes plan is coming together, piece by piece.
And this question right here, this really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. In the modern NFL, with a hard salary cap and draft picks being treated like gold, no team can operate in a bubble. A huge trade happening on one side of the country can, and often does, send massive shockwaves that completely change what another team thought they were doing. For the Minnesota Vikings, this isn't just a theory, it's what's happening to them right now. A blockbuster deal, which we're going to get into, has created this incredible domino effect. And that one little ripple is now on the verge of reshaping not just their defense, but their entire offense at the very same time. It is a high-stakes game for sure, and every single move matters. The board is set, and it looks like the Vikings are getting ready to make their play.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this whole thing down. We've got 5 parts. First up, we'll set the stage. Why are the Vikings at this crossroads in the first place? Then we're going to look at how an outside trade market completely reset the value for one of their key players. After that, we'll follow the money, because that's always important, and see how they're clearing out cap space for a very specific target. Then we'll put all those pieces together to show you the full two-pronged pivot. And finally, we'll talk about the massive, high-stakes gamble the front office is taking. Let's dive in.
So let's kick things off with Section 1, the Vikings out of crossroads. Look, every team has needs in the offseason. That's just how the league works. But for Minnesota, this really feels different. This feels like a major strategic turning point for the whole franchise. They have big question marks on both sides of the ball, but honestly, all roads lead back to the most important position in all of sports, the quarterback. The 2025 season, it was just plagued by inconsistency under center. And that has led to reports that the front office is done making small, incremental changes. They're ready to, and this is a direct quote from reports, take a huge swing to finally get a reliable leader for this offense.
And if you want to know why there's so much urgency, well, the numbers right here tell the whole story. These are J.J. McCarthy's stats from his 10 starts in 2025, and, well, they're not pretty. Let's break this down. A completion rate under 58% in today's NFL, that is a massive red flag. With how the rules favor the offense, you have to be well over 60% just to be considered average. This points to some real issues. And then you look at the touchdown-to-interception ratio, 11 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. You are just not going to win football games when your quarterback is giving the ball to the other team more often than he's putting it in the end zone. So this isn't just about a rookie finding his way. This is about a performance level that was actively holding back a very talented offense. And it's this hard data that has put immense pressure on the Vikings to pivot and find a proven veteran to lead this team in 2026.
Okay, now here's where the story gets really interesting. So, while the Vikings are over here trying to figure out their quarterback problem, a completely separate event, something happening in a different conference, suddenly changed everything. It dramatically clarified the value of one of their biggest defensive weapons. This is really the moment the first domino falls, where a rival's trade, maybe without even realizing it, hands Minnesota a huge piece of leverage that could reshape their entire offseason.
And that event was this monster blockbuster deal. The Las Vegas Raiders traded the absolute heart and soul of their entire defense, Max Crosby, to the Baltimore Ravens. Now let's be perfectly clear about who we're talking about here. Max Crosby is a 5-time Pro Bowler. He's a guy who is consistently in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. He's an absolute wrecking ball with a motor that never ever quits. He is, without a doubt, one of the top 5 defensive players in the entire league. So this wasn't just some small trade. This was a league-shaking move that instantly made people look at the Ravens as a Super Bowl favorite and had every other GM in the league asking the same thing. What in the world did it cost to get a guy like that?
And this is the absolutely staggering price tag. The Baltimore Ravens sent 2 first-round draft picks to the Raiders to get Max Crosby. Let's just sit with that for a second. In the NFL, first-round picks are everything. They're the most valuable currency you have. It's your chance to get a franchise-altering talent on a cheap 5-year rookie contract. Trading away 1 is a massive decision, but trading away 2 for a player who isn't a quarterback, that almost never happens. This one trade single-handedly reset the entire market for elite defensive players. It set a new, incredibly high bar for what a premier pass rusher is worth.
And this right here is the key. This quote just nails it for the Minnesota Vikings. You have to imagine the light bulbs going off in their front office when this Crosby news broke. Because right around the same time, rumors started swirling that their own star edge rusher, Jonathan Greenard, might be on the trade block. Greenard is the engine of their defense. And now, thanks to the Raiders and Ravens, the Vikings have a brand new, concrete example of what that kind of player is worth. The Crosby trade isn't just a news story. For the Vikings, it's a powerful negotiating tool that tells them exactly what they should be asking for in return for their guy.
So let's compare them, because this is where the Vikings argument gets really strong. Now look, nobody is going to sit here and tell you that Jonathan Greenard is Max Crosby. Crosby has the bigger name, the longer track record, we get that. But GMs and front offices, they often care less about reputation and more about recent production. And when you look at what Greenard did in 2024 when he was healthy, you just can't ignore it. He had a dominant, borderline all-pro season. 12.5 sacks is an elite number, but that 84 pressure stat might be even more impressive. That tells you he was living in the other team's backfield, consistently blowing up plays even when he didn't get the sack. And that production is what allows the Vikings to pick up the phone and say, hey, you saw Crosby go for 2 firsts? Our guy just produced at a very similar, elite level. He is absolutely worth one of your first-round picks.
Okay, so let's think of this whole strategy like it's running on 2 parallel tracks. On one track, you've got the Vikings figuring out the trade market for Jonathan Greenard, and now they're armed with all this new info from the Crosby deal. But at the exact same time, on the other track, they're making a series of really aggressive moves with their finances. And as we're about to see, every single one of these money moves is being done with one very specific goal in mind: clearing out enough salary cap space to make that huge swing at a new quarterback. Coming into this offseason, the Vikings had a big problem. They were projected to be way over the 2026 salary cap, which basically means they couldn't sign anybody. To fix this, they used a common tool called a simple restructure. Think of it like this. They take a player's big salary for this year and convert a huge chunk of it into a signing bonus. The player gets a big check right away, so they're happy, and the team gets to spread the salary cap hit for that bonus over the rest of the contract. It lowers the cap hit for this year, giving them breathing room. Now, it does push money into the future, people call it kicking the can down the road, but it's what you have to do when you're trying to win now.
And the Vikings front office has been putting in the work here. They've done these simple restructures with 3 of their absolute foundational players. Their number 1 corner, Byron Murphy Jr., their superstar face of the franchise receiver, Justin Jefferson, and their elite left tackle who protects the quarterback's blindside, Christian Darrisaw. They picked these guys specifically because they're core pieces who are going to be around for a long time, so it's safe to push money into their future years. Each move claws back millions in cap space, getting them under the limit and, more importantly, giving them cash to spend.
Which of course leads to the million-dollar question. Who is all this cap space for? You don't go through all this trouble kicking all this money down the road unless you have a specific, high-priority target lined up. And according to multiple well-connected reports, that target is the former number 1 overall pick, the 2-time Pro Bowl quarterback, Kyler Murray. After things went south for him in Arizona, Murray is available. And he seems to be exactly the kind of dynamic, talented veteran that the Vikings are looking to make that huge swing on. He's a dual-threat playmaker who could be absolutely electric in an offense with weapons like Justin Jefferson.
Now, this is the craziest part. What makes Kyler Murray such a uniquely perfect target is this incredible number, $36.8 million. Because the Cardinals gave him a massive, fully guaranteed contract, they are still on the hook to pay him that money in 2026, even if he's not on their team. And here's the kicker. Because of something called offset language in his contract, whatever a new team pays him, Arizona gets to subtract that amount from what they owe. This means the Vikings could potentially sign a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback for the veteran minimum salary. We're talking maybe $1 or $2 million, and the Cardinals would be stuck paying the other $35+ million. It's an incredible, rare situation that lets a team get a star player for pennies on the dollar.
Okay, so we've looked at the defensive track with Jonathan Greenard, and we've looked at the offensive track with Kyler Murray. Now, it's time to put it all together, because this connection, right here, this is the genius at the heart of the Vikings' entire offseason strategy. These aren't just random moves happening independently. Nope, this is a brilliant, calculated, 2-pronged attack, where an asset on defense is being strategically used to help them acquire a massive asset on offense.
This chart just lays out the whole plan beautifully. Let's walk through it one more time. On the defensive side, the move is to trade your asset out, Jonathan Greenard. The asset you get in is that super valuable first-round draft pick, a price they can now demand because of the Crosby trade. Simple enough.
Then, on the offensive side, the asset you're spending or sending out is that salary cap space you just worked so hard to create. And the asset you're bringing in is a proven, veteran quarterback in Kyler Murray, who you can get for a bargain. It is a fantastic strategic pivot. You're essentially flipping a defensive star and some cap creativity into a massive upgrade at quarterback.
But let's be real here. As smart as this all looks on a whiteboard, it is a massive, high-stakes gamble. This is the kind of move that gets a general manager either a contract extension or a pink slip. The Vikings are basically making two huge bets at the same time. Bet number one, they're betting that they can hit on that first-round pick and find a young player who can replace most of Greenard's production on a cheap rookie deal. That's never a sure thing. Bet number two, they're betting that Kyler Murray can stay healthy, get back to his Pro Bowl form, and be the answer they've been looking for at quarterback. If both bets hit, it's a grand slam that could set them up for years. But if either one of them fails, the whole plan could come crashing down.
So there you have it. Trading away a defensive star to bring in a veteran quarterback is the very definition of a high-risk, high-reward move. It's the kind of decision that will define this franchise for the next 3 to 5 years easy. It really leaves us with just one big question. Will this strategic pivot lead them to a jackpot, or is it going to be a total bust? I want to know what you think. Drop your take in the comments below. I really do love reading all your analysis. And hey, if you enjoyed this deep dive, do me a favor and hit that like button, and make sure you're subscribed to NFL Nexus for more breakdowns just like this one. And one last thing before you go, please think about supporting the channel by checking out our coloring books. They're awesome for kids, grandkids, and hey, even for adults. You can find them using the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on your screen right now. Thanks so much for watching.